Yes, Chef.
With Ryan.
Every Tuesday we bring Chef Ryan into the studio for Yes Chef, looking at delicious, usually seasonal ingredients from Korea and turning them into Korean dishes. We'll give you the lowdown on the recipes and the tastes. We got the camera inside the studio as well. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, how you doing, Peter?
Looks like we're going back to nature today or something. We're like embracing the environment. We're going green, like literally green.
Green things scare you, don't they?
I never used to eat salads or anything green until I was about 20, 22. Seriously.
Just straight up meat and potatoes
Oh,
guy,
apart from seaweed. Seaweed. I used to eat seaweed, and that's kind of green, I guess, if you hold it up to the light. So I'm intrigued. Like, I've been previewing this all throughout the show, saying we're doing this Yeonnipbap, or steamed rice, wrapped in a lotus leaf, which has just been delivered into the studio.
Oh, awesome.
Fresh. It's
That's
hot.
so cool. You smell that?
I don't actually.
I'm
really a bit too far away. It looks like a nice parcel delivered. But we've also got some more greens on the side as well. So that's what's not worrying me, but intriguing me.
We're going a little like old school today. A little real traditional. Stuff you don't see every day in Korea unless you go to a special place.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When we said that lotus leaf and rice wrapped in it, that's not like a common dish that you'll go to a restaurant and say, yay, give me a couple of Yeonnipbaps.
The first time I had this, I didn't even know what I was ordering.
Really?
I just ordered like a set menu at a real traditional kind of place. It was really nice on the countryside.
Yeah.
And out comes this parcel. I'm like, what is this?
Wow.
How did you make this? And I'm trying to understand, what they did. Sometimes it'll be steamed with tea, or boiled, or there's a bunch of different kinds and different ingredients inside.
All right, so if you're watching the video radio, which I do implore you to do today rather than any other day, then you can see we've got two dishes today. The first one that was just delivered, that is the main event, right? That's the rice in the lotus leaf.
Right.
Is that it? Is it just steamed rice in a lotus leaf, all steamed together?
It's much more than that, Peter. It's it's usually a combination of different kinds of rice. You almost always have some sticky rice in there, or glutinous rice, or sweet rice.
The chapsal.
That's the chapsal. That's the really small one that is like candy here.
Okie dokie. So you put that in, and then
also you'll find the Korean dates. You'll find sometimes nuts. You'll find ginkgo nuts in there sometimes. The unheng, maybe walnuts. Let's see. It's usually sweet to savory. I've never had one that was spicy. It's usually a little bit sweet.
There's no seasoning like soy sauce or oils or anything like that.
Can be a little bit, but I think that usually comes from something like this. This is. There are many types of jangachi in Korea.
The second thing that you've got in your little glass bowl there.
Right. And so by having this kind of Korean, let's call it a pickle, okay, because it's vinegar and water and sugar, but then soy sauce, right? When we make vinegar pickles in the West, we use vinegar and salt, or vinegar and sugar and water. And so, of course, you're in Korea, why would you use soy sauce in it? And so there's a whole range of these, and this adds a contrast here, a little sourness, a little more salt.
A little saltiness. I do like many types of jangachi. Like they've got the ma늘 jangachi, which is the garlic version. So it's like raw cloves of garlic.
But the ma늘 julgi jangachi, the one that's made with the garlic stems.
They're nice as well. Yeah, the garlic stems, I didn't know you could eat those until I came here.
Right.
And they're pretty good. But I've not seen this, which just looks like you've gone out to your farm and pulled up the weeds and put them into a jangachi. What on earth is that?
Well, I was walking through the market and trying to figure out, what am I going to make jangachi? What is the most seasonal? And this is the one that was just everywhere in my market.
Meaning,
and I honestly wasn't familiar
season.
with it. Like I'd had it before, but there's so many Korean greens that we don't even have names for in the West.
Yeah.
That I'm still learning them. Like it's awesome, and they're so seasonal. It comes around once a year. So you got to learn it, and then you got to remember it for the next year,
Yeah.
and go around. Now, the ones made with perilla leaf or the garlic or with onions or with different kinds of peppers, those are really familiar to me. But
Sure.
all these different greens, this in English is called coastal hog fennel.
Coastal hog fennel.
Yeah, I can't make this stuff up. Yeah,
Coastal hog fennel, and it's
coastal hog
doesn't
fennel.
look very much like a fennel, which is like that kind of bulb
Yeah,
vegetable,
yeah.
and it's edible.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. Now, when it was raw, I tasted some. You
Yeah.
know, just straight from the market, raw, rinsed, and it has this kind of bright. I don't want to say minty, but kind of this bright, fresh flavor, followed by a really strong bitterness at the end.
Wow.
And by putting it in this pickle, that bitterness at the end is really tamed down.
Okay, that's good.
It makes it pretty nice.
All right, so in Korea, we have to make it clear that, they eat a lot of greens and roots and leaves that we do not consider food at all in the West,
Yeah, we've talked about like shepherd's purse here. We've talked about the mugwort. We've talked so many different things that exist all around the world, but not everybody eats them.
Yeah, all right. So these are two dishes. So we'll talk about maybe the cooking directions and stuff as well. But why don't we unwrap the main event, the lotus leaf? So lotus is the plant. Is that where you get that root from as well?
It is. And that beautiful
The
flower.
yongun.
Right.
Oh, wow. I love the yongun as a side dish.
It's the
lotus
king
root.
of flowers, the king, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what the name comes from in Korean? Or
Oh, I see. And they'll usually have that in a bit of sweet sauce, the root, and you eat it with a bit of rice, and it tastes really sweet, and then
it has kind of the
rice.
star pattern when you do a cross section.
It's got all the holes in it, yeah.
Right.
It's
And you'll
amazing.
find that ingredient in here as well sometimes.
Oh, really?
Let's
The
see
root?
what we've got in this one.
We're unwrapping it. That leaf is huge, by the way.
Wow, there's some pumpkin in here.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Oh, this is awesome.
Have we got some chestnuts, do I see? I love
Looks like chestnuts, daechu, some beans, or maybe, I don't think it's peanut, I think it's beans.
Yeah.
And different kinds of rice. There's some black rice, there's some sticky rice, and then just regular Korean rice. It looks
Nice.
Like
So, okay, I'm going to start eating this before you, Ryan, because I'd like you to explain. Do you cook this inside? Can I use the spoon, by the way?
Yeah, that's what it's here for, man.
Do you cook this inside the leaf then?
Yes, you wrap it up. Now you're gonna have to soak the rice first. Anytime you're using a denser grain like a chapsal or a glutinous rice, you want to soak it for a few hours before. How is that, man? Yeah,
It smells really lovely.
a little bit sweet.
The pumpkin adds sweetness as well. I love this pumpkin, This is not the orange pumpkin. It's like the mini green, dark green pumpkin. This is brilliant as a side dish by itself, just steamed and
I
cut
can
into pieces.
smell that. The leaf really gives a flavor too. I've had tea that's made with these leaves,
With the lotus.
and you can that smell, that strongest smell that I'm getting right now is actually from the leaf.
Can you eat the leaf? Not usually, right?
I don't think so.
It doesn't look-
I don't think it'll hurt you, but yeah.
I'm
They're
not going to do
really,
them.
they're really tough leaves. They're awesome. Last year, I'm a big fan of Mexican food and El Salvadorian food, but we don't have banana leaves here. And harvesting and steaming corn husks is quite an effort.
Yeah.
But we do have every September-ish. We get these giant leaves next to a lot of lakes or streams.
Yeah.
And you can go cut these, and if you just blanch them, boiling water for some of the bigger ones, it takes a more than a minute, to soften them up.
Yeah.
And they get this color, and that's when you can use them to wrap it up. If you try to wrap it up when it's green, it'll tear, it'll break, it'll crack.
I see.
But
So
you
you've got to do that
blanch it.
first.
Right. You blanch it first, and then it becomes this great big wrapping paper that you can. Like I was making tamales with,
wow.
like Mexican style tamales with these leaves.
That's
Why
awesome.
not?
Yeah, our producer was like, no, do not eat the leaf. These are not edible. So good job I didn't. So then you put in all the raw rice that's been soaked, the pumpkin, the chestnut, all raw, and then wrap it up and just steam it.
Steam it, yeah.
As in, you've got a pot full of boiling water. put it on top of like a tray above the boiling water.
Right.
Or
Just like
in one
so
of those
many
baskets.
foods are done here. Right.
One of those like dim sum baskets.
Yes, a lot like the mandu or the dumplings would be done. Yeah.
And then how long does that take to cook then?
Well, that's going to depend on the size of it and the different kinds of rice you have in there.
Yeah.
You just got to kind of learn that depending on how big a one you're doing or something. So.
Okay, and this is just a real healthy snack to eat, isn't it?
You gotta let me try.
Yeah,
it,
do you want a spoon?
You just ate with a spoon. You're supposed to share the spoon and eat with a chopstick.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I didn't cotton onto that. And then the reason you said that you've brought this jangaching, the coastal hog fennel,
right?
Is
that
to
is
add
really good.
Add some flavor to this, right? Add some saltiness and whatnot. What is the Korean name for this, by the way? Do you know?
Bangpung.
Bangpung.
Yes.
Bangpung namul. I've never heard of bangpung namul. I don't think I've ever seen this in restaurants.
I was talking to a bunch of different Korean friends, and a lot of them didn't know either. I showed them pictures of it, and they weren't real familiar with it.
Oh,
it really is a generational thing.
It's a really strong flavor. I wasn't expecting that. I was just expecting it to be like a leaf, but wow.
This is so good. Those chestnuts. There's the ginkgo nut, which this gives such a really awesome bitterness to things that he hates the jangaching.
Yeah, that is like really strong in its flavor. I don't even know how to describe the flavor. Like you said, I wanted to say minty, but it's not minty.
It's a bright front, and then the middle is kind of just soy sauce, and then the back end is a little bit bitter.
Yeah, definitely bitter now. I hate that at the end. It almost reminds me of like a thick coriander. It's not the same flavor profile, but in terms of like what it looks like just from afar, but it's definitely thicker, and that really bright flavor at the start is something that I feel we shouldn't eat. Like, I feel that's what animals eat, why they eat grass and things like that. But
I was doing a little research on this, and I couldn't find exactly what the medicinal uses for this particular green were or are, but it is listed in ancient like Chinese culture and Korean culture for as a medicinal herb.
It's a little bit spicy as well. There's a little bit of like
Oh, you got
heat,
that?
yeah,
I
like
added
a pepper
some chili
kind of
to it. Yeah.
Oh, really? In the sauce, which is quite common for jangachi, right?
It is, right.
So to make this jangachi, you could put any other things in there, like we're talking about the garlic or the garlic stems. It's quite simple, right?
So simple. A lot of people like to do the 1:1, the 1:1 ratio, which makes it super easy to remember and to do, and that is sugar, soy sauce, vinegar.
Sugar, soy sauce, vinegar, that's it.
Yeah, that's a lot of sugar if you do it that way. I prefer to use honey and tone down the sweetness a little bit, but still the vinegar and the soy sauce. It's those three ingredients predominantly, and maybe a little bit of water to thin it if it's too salty or too, depending on what kind of soy sauce you have.
Yeah.
And you're just going to taste it and get it to your liking. You know?
Okay. And then once you like the flavor of that sauce, then that's fine.
Right. Usually you'll boil up that sauce to make sure that all that sugar dissolves and all of it incorporates together. Okay. Especially if you're going to add in like chilies to get the heat out of the chilies into that kind of pickling brine. You want to boil it just for a second.
Okay.
And then some recipes show pouring that hot broth over the greens.
Yeah.
And other recipes show chilling it and then adding it. In this case, I chilled it because I really wanted to see what the greens did.
And then
but
how
you're
long...
wishing that I poured it on hot. I think.
Yeah, because it's still like really fresh in there as well. The stalks are still really crunchy and everything like that. And then how long do you need to leave it in there for it to soak?
Minimum of 4 days. This one I started on Friday.
Okay.
So
amazing. To really take on board all those flavors in there. We're going to be back in part 2 talking a little bit more about this and also what's in your fridge. Let us know if you've got any recipes that incorporate this kind of steaming technique with a lotus leaf. I know in Mediterranean countries, in Greece as well, they have something similar. We'll talk about that in part 2. First up, we'll play a song from Card. This is Hola Hola. We're back for part 2 of Yes Chef. Today with Chef Ryan, we're looking at Yeonnipbap, or rice wrapped in lotus leaf. But it's not just rice, it's got chestnuts, Korean dates, pumpkin, beans, and other mixed like grains in there. Looks terrific.
It's so good. It's really, really awesome.
That doesn't seem to be seasoned separately with any kind of soy sauce or oil or anything like that, just from the ingredients itself.
This is what people talk about, how a lot of Asian food, especially Korean food, is not just about food, it's about health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like medicine, where there's no differentiation between this is food or this is medicine. It's like it's one thing.
Yeah, because what you take into your body, it counts as food and something to keep you healthy, right?
That is so good.
Yeah, the pumpkin in there is delicious as well. We've got a few messages to read out before we move on. Siska says from Indonesia, good morning, Ryan. Rice in lotus leaves is my favourite. In dim sum, we call it lo mai kai, nom nom. I love the pork and nut inside as well. Wow. And the other version is rice in bamboo leaf. Same ingredients, just a different leaf. I guess the leaf does impart different flavors as well.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, my Chinese neighbors one year on a festival day where they'll take the bamboo leaf and wrap up sticky rice in a very similar way. They're a little bit smaller, but it's so cool. And they brought up like a whole big bowl of them for me because it was their holiday. They wanted to share the experience with me.
Oh, nice.
And it's similar to this. Like we talked about in El Salvador, they use banana leaves and wrap them up to make giant tamales. In Mexico, it's usually the corn husks. Unless maybe southern Mexico, you'd have banana leaves as well.
Tasty all around the world. And yeah, our writer also pointed out on our script here that the Mediterranean diet, they have, is it dolmades?
Oh, I love those, man, with the grape leaves.
Yeah, so you wrap rice, mincemeat, vegetables and herbs in the vine leaves.
You've had dolmas, right?
I'm not a big fan. My dad used to love them.
You're not oh my
He used to get them from the supermarket. They're the ones that, can't you eat the leaves as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're brined grape leaves. And yeah, a friend of mine, he went out and got grape leaves here in Korea.
Oh, wow.
Because about this time of year, if you go out to the West Coast, there's tons of grapes growing and being sold on the side of the street. And you can get the leaves for free. They don't mind if you snag a few. And,
sure.
And if you brine them, maybe blanch them and then brine them, I think, in like a salt water. Then yeah, you can wrap those around different kinds of rice with meat inside sometimes, and
they're completely edible. Unlike these
soaked in
lotus
olive oil, they're so good.
Yeah, they're quite popular in the UK. Like you'll find them ready-made in supermarket meals as well. Zarifa from Malaysia says, "OMG, it looks so yummy and chewy. Is it as chewy as tteokbokki? I love chewy foods." The sticky rice, it is chewy, but not on the level of tteokbokki.
No,
right?
not quite that far, but it is. There's definitely some good chew in there. It's really nice and sticky and held together there from being steamed together.
Yeah, and a little bit of crunch to have a difference with the chestnuts in there as well. It is absolutely fantastic. And then Ing Yin from Malaysia as well has posted up a picture of lotus leaf rice that they eat there too. We have something similar also called sticky rice dumplings, and here is a picture of it. Oh,
that looks like the same thing, just about.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, wrapped up in lotus leaves, maybe tied up as well while they're steamed. Oh, so good this, and so healthy, like you said, Ryan. So this dish, it really does go well together with some jangachi to give it some extra saltiness and stuff like that. Today's pangpung namul, I'm going to remember that name so I don't order it at a restaurant. It's not my cup of tea, but there are many different versions, many different leaves you could put in there, or garlics, etc.
I will say, yeah, this one does have a strong flavor. I apologize for shocking you, Peter.
No,
it wasn't my
not
intention.
at all.
But yeah, there's so many different kinds. And the reason I made this one is because I hadn't made it before, and I saw it in the market seasonal, and had to check it out.
No, I'm very happy that I did try it. So lotus leaves, like that's kind of important for this dish. They've been used a long time by Buddhist monks here in Korea for like tea as well. Apparently, you can have dried lotus leaf tea,
right?
And apparently, the way it helps your body is things like calming the nerves, clearing your mind, purifying the body. You can get a lot of lotus leaf related food at the temples, including this Yeonnipbap, right? But there are some other things you could do with lotus leaves, right, that our writer has pointed out.
Yeah, I've seen, putting maybe, bosam, right?
Oh, yeah, the
pork belly.
Steamed pork belly. Oh, so lovely. Juicy.
I've not tried it personally, but bosam's often made just like being steamed or even boiled or pressure cooked.
Yeah.
And you can imagine if it's contacted with all that water, then some of that, the flavor in the meat is going to be kind of washed out.
Yeah.
But by wrapping it up in a leaf, you're going to kind of hold that in as well as imparting the flavor of the leaf.
Putting just that big strip of pork belly in the leaf.
In there, wrapped up.
Wow.
And then, yeah, if you like bosom, that would be a really awesome way. A little more time consuming, a little more love put into like making each piece.
Yeah.
But that's so cool.
I think it's worth it. A lot of the time they'll put in some extra ingredients or seasonings into that stock that they use to boil or steam it. You know?
The star anise or cinnamon goes in there sometimes. Yeah.
It tastes so much better with that as well. It's a subtle difference, but it would taste good. I wonder, what kind of flavor profile a lotus leaf would impart. I think it would be good, yeah.
When I was boiling these up the last year in my kitchen to make the tamales, the whole house smelled like this lotus leaf, which was really, really nice.
Yeah. And also our producer came in and she was saying that you can have these as chon, as Korean-style pancakes.
I've not seen that one either, but that sounds really cool.
Yeah, because sometimes they do have like just big leaves fried in the chon as well. And also for these namuls, for the pangpung namul, she said you could get that in a chon.
Right.
Yeah, which maybe would make it a bit more approachable
for
people, for people like me, and maybe people who are not familiar with that kind of taste profile. If it's with some flour and egg and stuff like that, and then dipped in some soy sauce. I think that would taste good.
I think if you get a chance to go to a real traditional kind of Korean restaurant and they have an option of having this as your rice, you gotta check it out. It's too cool. I've also seen it done inside of bamboo. I've seen it stuffed inside of a duck.
That's
and
so
done
good.
that way too.
Inside of like a roasted duck, and it's that same kind of rice, the healthy rice with the beans, the Korean dates, the chestnut, the pumpkin. It is hearty, isn't it, as a rice? So there are restaurants that will sell this as well. This Yeonnipbap, our producer as well, said that she got this. There's a restaurant just near her house that sells this on the menu, so sometimes you can choose this as opposed to a bowl of just steamed white rice. What a nice change to have, right? We've got a couple of messages here to read out. Ingyin in Malaysia says, I've eaten lotus leaf rice at Chinese 8-course dinners. Usually it's served before the desserts, and we also eat another type of wrapped rice called sticky rice, glutinous rice dumplings, which this is glutinous rice, right? Wrapped in bamboo or reed leaves. We stuff it with meat, black-eyed beans, chestnuts and salted egg. It's eaten during the 5th day of the 5th lunar month. I see, the same time as the Tanoje Gangneung festival. I see, it's linked in with that. You don't often find that in Korea though, meat in the rice, right?
No, I've not seen that way. But yeah, around the world, that's how you would see it more. Is definitely tamales incorporate a lot of fat and meat and different kind of sauces in there as well.
Yeah, but you could do it, right? You could put in some meats in there to make it like a heartier dish.
Absolutely. Then it'd be kind of like a dolma or yeah.
Yeah, tasty indeed. So you can try this food not just at Buddhist temples, but at restaurants around Korea. And do also tune in every Tuesday for Yes Chef on #DailyK, a show that keeps you up to date with the latest news from Korea every single day from 9 to 11 a.m. And you can check out this video of this segment on Arirang Radio's YouTube channel in the coming days. Okie dokie, time for What's in Your Fridge. And we had a success story from last week from Audrey in France.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, she posted up a picture of what she made that you suggested.
That was really cool. Yeah, using the citrus fruit, the pomelo.
Oh, yes.
And the duck.
Yeah. Right? And she said it tasted great. So she's back for more.
Beautiful picture. Really, really cool. I want to say one more thing about the lotus.
Oh.
If you're in kind of the same climate as here, or the same latitude, I suppose, and there's any lotus leaves around you, the season's coming up really soon. So don't be afraid to go cut a couple. They don't
from the ponds.
Yeah. If you don't take them, then they're just going to shrivel up and fall back into the pond. And take a couple and just boil them for a minute or two, and then wrap up your own ingredients in there and steam it.
You can go and get it yourself. Go and harvest it.
It's totally a seasonal thing. So if you don't do that, and you could blanch them, wrap them up, and then freeze them, and then you could have them to play with, throughout the year. But if you don't grab them, and usually it's around September. It's your only shot,
Yeah.
So.
Okay, it's around now that you got to get ready to go lotus leaf hunting.
Exactly. I love your fridge, Audrey. Here we go. We got pork fillet, like a pork tenderloin. There's some cured beef, kind of. I think that's like an Italian style cured beef. Let's see, the eggs, plain yogurt, coconut milk, cream cheese, fennel. Oh, I love the fennel and the pork. You already know what you're gonna make with this, I think. All right, zucchinis, sweet mini peppers, tomatoes, cantaloupe, plums, nectarines, passion fruits, and lime. Wow, that's really cool.
Can you put passion fruit in a food, not a dessert? I've never seen it with like a main. Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Fruity it up, make it a bit sour. So we're talking. This is called coastal hog fennel,
right.
But she's got the normal fennel there, Audrey.
Yeah,
I
fennel bulb.
don't know what to do with fennel. What can you do?
Well, with the fronds, you can flavor stock. Okay. With the bulb, when it's really big and soft, like or it's crisp, but no chewy parts to it, then that goes straight into salads. So well.
Just raw,
or roasted. Like roast rabbit with fennel, or like veal shanks or something like that
with some roasted fennel.
Absolutely, yeah. I love that ingredient, especially with pork. Fennel bulb goes so well. I think what I want to do here with this, Audrey, if I may, you've got so much cool fruit in the fridge. Let's try to marinate the pork tenderloin. Now, check this out, though. Before you start marinating the pork tenderloin, it's like this long shape, right? And this is a thing that my dad or my parents often like to do with pork tenderloin. And if you take a sharp knife and you cut about a quarter of an inch, maybe a little bit more in on one side, but don't go all the way through. Okay, go down until you're about a quarter of an inch from cutting all the way through.
Right.
So you basically open up kind of a flap there.
Right.
Okay, then roll the meat back and do it again. So you're taking this long tenderloin and you're making it into a flat piece.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
But you're keeping it all continuous.
Right. So you're going to cut down and then kind of fold it out and then cut it down again and then fold it out a little bit, cut it down. Usually it's maybe 4 cuts and they get shorter each time because it's getting smaller each time.
And it's getting thinner?
And you want to keep it the same thickness all the way across. So just keep rolling it out, and if you don't get it perfect, don't worry. You can cover it with plastic wrap and then hit it with like a rolling pin or something, and even it out. But you don't want to have any holes in it. Okay. Now get it into a marinade, and since you got all this awesome fruit. Zest the lime. Don't put the lime juice because it's too acidic. It'll start to cook the pork and you'll get a funky texture. But I've never done it before, but I really want to see how it would come out if you incorporate the lime zest, the coconut milk, the passion fruit, the cantaloupe totally.
Wow.
I'm not sure about. You don't want to make it too complex, right? But yeah, if you marinate it in that, and then take one of the fruits, maybe the plum. Yeah, and then definitely slice up that fennel bulb, and then roll it back up. So the flat piece, you roll it back up to its original shape, and then tie it or stick toothpicks through it. Yeah. Sear it
on the outside
in a really hot pan or on a grill. Sear it. And then finish it off in the oven, and don't overcook it. Just bring it right up to temperature, and you don't want it to be medium rare, but just barely done. And then when you slice it, it'll have this nice spiral look. Yeah. And you should be able to see the fennel inside, and yeah, it's a lot of fun that way. I've done this similar thing, and my father always does too. It's one of his signature dishes, using different kind of fruit inside, like like possibly dates or pineapple or whatever, and rolled up, and seared on the grill. Then maybe glazed on the outside with like a sweet pineapple sauce, and then it's great to share with friends.
Pork and pineapples go together so well as well.
Oh
don't
boy,
they?
like Hawaiian pizza, man.
Yeah, really nice. Absolutely. That sounds like a funky way to do a pork loin, a pork fillet, I should say. Delicious. Try that out, Audrey. Let us have a picture of that as well if you do end up making it. We've got another message here from Roz in the US saying, I grew up with lots of Filipino foods and they were often wrapped in the banana leaves, all kinds of sticky rice and other treats in there. Don't they wrap pork and other things in leaves in Hawaii as well? That's something she's heard. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, when you do the roast buried underground at the beach, then that's all you all lay down banana leaves and cover.
Oh, yeah, I see. And then Roz goes on to say, marinades for me, I learned from my mum that was vinegar, soy sauce, sugar, just a bit, with a bay leaf, some salt and pepper to taste. Often we would grill some chicken in that kind of sauce, and then I would cook down the marinade, add sugar and tomato ketchup to reduction to start making a barbecue sauce. Oh,
yeah,
is
that's
that how
like
you can make it?
That's like kecap.
That's amazing. That sounds delicious. Wow, I haven't even thought about doing that. I haven't made my chicken lit in that ages. Oh, I missed that dish. Thank you for sharing that. And then one last message here from Ali on YouTube, who says, my cuisine concept is always to cook simple, but with a lot of passion and without frontiers. That's the beauty of enjoying a nice meal at home on your table. You can kind of experiment. I suppose that's when you get the brilliant dishes that come out of no boundaries.
Well, I'm always telling my students that when they're first starting out, don't put 100 ingredients into a dish. When you're first really starting to learn an ingredient, you're not going to learn anything if you overcomplicate it. So by focusing on a few ingredients and playing with those, then you can get more out of it. Learn more so that next time you can add more and make it more complex.
Yeah, there's an acronym in the UK. I don't know if it's a US thing as well. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Right. So that's what I go by with my whole life, I suppose, Ryan. Thank you so much for bringing all this in.
My pleasure.
I'm glad that I tried that pangpung namu or coastal
Don't lie.
fennel.
Don't lie.
No, I know now not to ask for it.
So now you can avoid it more easily. Yeah?
Absolutely. We'll see you again next week, Ryan. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Time for some new SW. This is If You 있다면.